Welcome back to Local Garden Queens. It's June 1st. It's not really quite summer yet, but it's feeling like it most days. I would say it's late spring. Summer planting were completed last week. Tomatoes, eggplant, peppers. Things were pulled out like weeds and some of the kale. So let's go on a tour and I'll show you around. I'm gonna start here along the house. There was extra space here, so I had to plant something. There's 2 eggplants and 2 Malabar spinaches. So along the house we have the mint, the rose bush in full bloom, and the green onion. Is open. It's gonna make seeds. So this first bed here has the green onion also. I left some carrots. This is mainly the pepper bed. So a few peppers. They're not looking great. Something's been chewing on them. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see some damage on the pepper here, just like all of them. So these are bell peppers, yellow and orange. Left a few carrots just to separate, because these here are jalapeno peppers. And of course something is eating them as well. They don't look very healthy at all. And here are red bell peppers. Again, something is eating them. Here's the kale bed. Some carrots also, but the kale, it's done blooming and it's making seeds now. Here's some of the seed pods. They're not ready yet, as they're still green and moist, I guess. I'm gonna wait for them to dry. That's how you know when the seeds are ready. Down here are some things gonna plant later today, because it's still way too sunny. It's about afternoon time, so you don't want to plant anything in the middle of the day, especially in the warm weather. So I have some tomato seeds I started, and only one came up recently. These are yellow squash or summer squash, and this is basil. So the plan is maybe plant some basil around the pepper plants, and whatever is eating them hopefully will stop. I think chances of that are pretty low, but if the pepper plants die, at least there'll be basil in the bed. So here in these pots are also peppers. This is the tomato bed, heirloom. And here are 4 tomato plants that it just said tomatoes. So gonna find out what kind of tomatoes they are. This next bed here has some carrots, and it's a mixture of some greens that overwintered, eggplant, peppers, let me come around and show you against the fence here. Of course, there's an overwintered lettuce, pepper plants. This is some chamomile flowering, Malabar spinach. This on the side here is some cilantro that went to seed, or flower bolted actually. This is going to go to seed shortly. And some more spinach plants until you get to the strawberry clump. You can see strawberries here ripening up. Here are different stages. So here's a flower, Here is a flower that's been pollinated. Here's some unripe strawberries, and here's a ripe one. And you can see there's plenty underneath. This one is not ripe yet. Let's take a look at the trellis bed here. What we have planted is some bitter melon. As you see here, it's starting to reach out and beginning to climb. Of course, the chamomile that seeded itself. Some carrots and some more bitter melon. Along the side here are sugar snap peas, which have flowered and are forming the peas now. Soon, maybe another week or two, these will be full and ready to pick. Let's go around and take a look at the bed next to it. Here's another tomato bed of unknown variety. Actually, this variety is known. This is San Marzano tomatoes. It's about 4 plants in here. And actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, actually 5 plants, because this plant came up on its own from last year. It should be a cherry tomato. I do not remember which one, because there were a few varieties last year planted here, so we'll find out when it starts bearing. The bed next to the tomatoes is all Malabar spinach. Probably gonna set up a trellis, maybe like a teepee style trellis, so the spinach can climb up. This mound is zucchini. It's 2 zucchinis per hole. And kind of in the middle of a pathway here are 3 eggplants. So the bed next to the zucchini, going further down into the garden. This is mainly the herb bed. You can see cilantro intermixed with dill. The dill is showing, it has a reddish hue, same issues I've been having in my garden in Queens. I don't know what's causing this. I'll have to do some research. If anybody wants to post, leave a comment if you know the reason this is happening. So the cilantro looks like it's getting ready to go to seed now. And bok choy that was planted earlier in the year, in early spring, is flowering. This bed here is the garlic bed. It has 4 different things in here. It has some leaf lettuce, loose leaf lettuce here. It has some carrots. It has the garlic, of course. You can see this here. It's the garlic. And it's time to snip these off, because this is hardneck garlic and this is going to be the seed head. And from what I understand is you have to snip that off so the energy will go to the bulb, not the seed head. And they're actually supposed to be pretty tasty, like a mild garlic taste. You can saute them, you can chop it up and eat it fresh in salads, whatever you choose. And also the sugar snap peas in here. They weren't trellised, so they kind of fell in here and doing their own thing. You can see some sugar snaps all around. And there's a pretty decent variety of some loose leaf lettuce that looks pretty healthy. And I tasted some, there's no bitterness whatsoever. It hasn't been too hot for it yet. But this one here, it's bolting. This is gonna be seeds for the fall. So the bed next to that is the trellis, another trellis bed. There's eggplants in here. You can see here, here, here. I'm kind of going in a triangular pattern with everything this year. I'm going to see how that works out as far as if it'll save me space or not. Next to the trellis are cucumbers. You can see one plant here and another plant here, and of course the sugar snap peas are climbing up the trellis, flowering and forming pea pods. Right behind them, along the fence, past the strawberry clump, you have some peppers here. Whole bunch of peppers. Hopefully they survive. They don't look great, but sometimes the best plants, the best producers don't look great in the beginning. Maybe things will turn around later on in the season. This bed here has comfrey. Looks like one or two lone potatoes coming up. And this here is long bean. There's one here, there's one down there. And in the back there is some overwintered or actually bok choy that was planted sometime in the spring and is going to seed. So let me take you back here, which is the asparagus patch. We did some weeding last week. The little baby asparaguses were overrun by weeds, so we weeded, and this is what the asparagus looks like in the beginning. Let me take you around the compost, which is very active once again, and the compost for next season. This is the compost we used this year, which is less than half its size when we started. Probably going to do another compost application in a month or so. So this area was where the newest compost was before I flipped it or turned it. In this bed, the plan for this is, so there's some potato seedlings here, or just potatoes in general coming up. They don't look very healthy, but again, we'll see what happens with that. So the plan is, aside from this tomato that sprung up on its own, is to plant the remaining yellow squash that I have in the cups that were started from seed soon. Probably later in the day as the sun goes down. And against the wall here are all cucumber plants. This was an old bed. Took the frame from it and gonna run some rope down, and it'll be a trellis for the cucumbers to climb. So that's the garden for today. Let me show you a different view here of all the beds. Everything's looking healthy. They're in this transition period from spring to summer. The summer vegetables are, for the most part, looking good, except for the peppers. Everything looks very healthy, and I'm looking forward to it progressing and making fruit and vegetables for the summer season. So as always, like, share, subscribe, leave comments. See you guys next update.